All right, everybody, welcome back. Good late morning now. We've got more Pro Football Focus data to look at. Now we're doing the defense, and I'll tell you, some pretty interesting stuff here. Not necessarily what you would have expected, I think, after looking at the way that game transpired on Monday night. And I think there's something to learn here. There's also stuff to question, of course, but I find a lot of this to be pretty educational. By the way, if you're watching this video at any point after its upload, I probably, well, almost certainly have my first video up on TikTok. So go over to TikTok, follow me, and check out my new video over there. Seahawks Brendan Nelson on TikTok. I'm going to be posting at least 3 more videos over the next week or so. And then there's going to be potentially other videos after that, depending on how things go. But Pro Football Focus on the defense, that's coming up right after this break. All right, guys, let's take a minute so I can tell you about Sleeper, a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat on sports games in real time with other users. You can get the fastest scores, blazing fast sports news and sports alerts right at your fingertips. And of course, you can use Sleeper to play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. This is the way sports were meant to be enjoyed together. So download Sleeper today. Use promo code SBN to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. And you can pair that with another promo they have right now where you can get a $20 entry free with no deposit required. So get both of those things going. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and growing. So check out Sleeper today. Get to it and go have some fun with sports this year. Okay, so the first thing that sticks out here is that Boye Mafe is our top-rated defender by a pretty good margin, even though he did not record any stats in that game. He had no tackles, he had no sacks. Of course, without a tackle, he doesn't have a sack. Didn't have any interceptions, didn't have any pass breakups. So you don't see that every day. I think it speaks to how effectively he is playing in a kind of an under-the-radar way. And you can see that it pretty much all comes from his pass rush. So he's doing something right. He's just not getting rewarded. I think he had a sack taken away from him because of a penalty anyway. So maybe that's part of it. But you don't see that one every day. Kobe Bryant was our second highest graded defender. And, I mean, he played a clean game, I think. I don't think he did anything wrong. He obviously didn't stand out, but often as a safety, when you're doing your job, you don't stand out. So I can understand how you get here. I do want to stress, though, that I continue to doubt PFF's ability to accurately gauge safety play, especially in zone. So take it as you will. Brandon Peely didn't play very much. You're talking about 7 snaps, so whatever. But well graded. He's doing something in there. And maybe it's actually a little bit more than what Jonathan Hankins could give us even if he was here. Byron Murphy, well graded. And remember, the grades from PFF on Murphy count, like when he's graded well, it feels like it counts extra. Because Murphy plays out of position a lot, and that hurts his grade, I think. So great to see. Reek Woolen, welcome back into the fold. Well-graded game. Best graded game this year, I think. And I thought it was his best game of the year, regardless of what PFF says. So, great. Eamon Worry, solid grade as well. There's been a lot of buzz about Eamon Worry from Seahawks fans and NFL people over the last couple days, by the way. People are really getting turned on to that guy. So, really enthused about where that's going. That is way ahead of schedule to me right now, especially with him getting injured. Okada, respectable. I mean, he's not a great player, but I mean, you got to say he's doing as good as you could have hoped when Love got hurt. I think we're okay with it. D-Law, respectable, nothing over the top. I don't totally know why. Like, I don't know what D-Law is not doing out there that they want him to do, but to my eye, he looks pretty special out there. Drake Thomas, respectable. And again, from guys like Drake Thomas, I don't expect them to be stars. I just hope that they're effective, and it seems like Drake Thomas has been in a myriad of different ways. And honestly, I don't know why it isn't a little bit higher. Like, what else is he supposed to do? The Houston defense was in a Houston offense was in a torture chamber the whole game. I feel like there should be a little more green here. Not that these are bad grades. Josh Jobe, little above average, workable. Mike Morris, only 8 snaps, but little above average. Sure. Take something from it, I guess. Big Cat, the tackles are obviously hurting him to an extent. I get that, but you'd have to work very hard, and I don't think you'd be able to do it anyway, to convince me that Leonard Williams was barely above replacement level for the Seahawks on Monday night. Jarran Reed, maybe, because I don't think Jarran Reed's doing a ton right now, but you're still talking about something better than, I think, replacement level, which is basically what 60 is. And Nwosu, who led the team in pressures in this game, gets a below average grade somehow. I don't understand how they got there. And Ernest Jones, man, I don't know what he did to Pro Football Focus. They don't like that guy. Before we pop over, missed tackle stuff, better this week. Drake Thomas, this is where Drake Thomas got punished. He missed 3 tackles in this game, according to PFF. Woolen missed 2. Mafe missed 1. Leonard Williams missed 1. And Ernest Jones missed 1. Although, again, I feel like PFF is putting too much weight into missed tackles to explain some of these grades. Because you can't tell me that these missed tackles are doing that level of damage to the team's chances of winning on most plays. Like, okay, when Tyrese Knight misses the tackle on Jalen Warren against Pittsburgh in week 2, and then he goes another 50 yards, maybe I get it then, but on so many of these plays, we miss a tackle, and then they get swarmed 2 plays later, often because they went off course, because they had to evade the tackle, and it's like, really? You're going to dock the guy that hard for that, when you can even argue he did his job fairly well on that play? I don't know. All right, run defense stuff. No one player really stands out here. Jones did his thing, 2 stops. Leonard Williams, 2 stops. Byron Murphy, 2 stops, which is great because he's playing on the line. Drake Thomas, 2 stops. But so nobody goes over 2, but you got 1 for D-Law, 1 for Kobe. Not a ton going on here overall. Not a huge amount of stuff to report back. Just the run defense has been great, and I actually have a video going live today. It'll be live by now on Bleacher Report, talking about the run defense and the massive transformation they've gone through. I'll probably talk about that sometime in the next week and a half on this channel as well. But check that out if you want to hear more about that. Okay, so that's run defense stuff. I mean, it's good, but no one player really superstar stands out, if you know what I mean. Okay, pass rush grades. So, look, this isn't that far away from the Jacksonville game. It wasn't quite as dominant, I don't think, but in terms of pressure, we're kind of in the same territory here, right? Nwosu, 6 pressures and somehow gets a barely above average pass rush grade. 5 pressures for Mafe. Got 4 pressures coming from D-Law. And again, by the way, what's up with the grade then? Like, what is he supposed to do? You've got 3 pressures from Drake Thomas, Nick Eamon-Wari, and Leonard Williams, and they all have well below average pass rush grades. I'd really be interested to know how they come to that conclusion. As a cornerback, you rush the passer 5 times in a game, you get 3 pressures, and your grade is a 52.7. I'd be interested to know how they justify that. I'm not saying they're wrong, but I gotta admit, I heavily suspect that it cannot be an accurate reflection. Murphy had 1, Morris had 1, Jarran Reed had 3, which is actually better than he's done in a while, I feel like. Okada with the sack, Josh Jobe had a quarterback hit. So, I mean, it's good. It's not quite as good as the previous week, but it is some really good data. And I gotta say that if this team keeps it up, it might be the greatest pass rush in Seahawks franchise history. Because even the Pete Carroll defenses that were the best defenses in Seahawks franchise history, 2013, 2014, etc., they didn't necessarily do it with the pass rush as much as they did the secondary. This pass rush has a chance to maybe be better. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but I don't think it is. Okay, coverage. Let's take a look at what we got here. As I usually am, I'm actually very interested to see what Pro Football Reference says later this week. compared to this, because some of this stuff surprised me a little bit. So let's see. Got Kobe Bryant, highest graded cover player. He allowed one 21-yard catch, which usually is enough to get you in trouble with the grader, but they did not really punish him that hard for that. Reek Woolen, 8 targets, 3 completions, 21 yards. More than happy to live with that. Though, honestly, I'm a little bit surprised. I didn't even think he gave up 3 catches in this game. I thought maybe he allowed like 1. So I'm interested to see if PFR has something a little different. Eamon Wari, 7 targets, 3 catches, 40 yards. I'm happy with that. I got no problem with that. I will live with 40 yards on 7 targets. Same with Drake Thomas here. He gets targeted 10 times, so you can see the other team really trying to pick at him a little bit. But 57 yards, I can handle that. That's a reasonable number of yards to give up on plays where you get targeted. So okay, sure. Uchenna Nwosu, nothing. DeMarcus Lawrence doesn't get targeted. Job, according to PFF, was better than I expected. Now, he did have the 2 penalties, so that's worth noting. The penalties don't account when you're looking at this, but 7 targets, 10 yards is actually pretty great. That's actually really good. And again, the penalty skews things a little bit, but this is better than I would have thought. 7 targets, 10 yards from an outside corner playing 60 snaps in coverage. Like that's actually extraordinary. Mike Morris, that's nothing. Okada, 4 for 4 for 40 yards, so not great. But again, I lower my standard with Okada because I know he's not the greatest player in the world, and he's just out there doing the best he can, and he didn't play bad. Big Cat gave up a catch for -1 yard, so whatever. Mafe gets targeted twice, gives up 1 catch for 13 yards, probably one of those flat plays. Again, not really something I'm looking at for any particularly significant meaning. And somehow, some way, Ernest Jones, who gave up 28 yards on 5 targets and had an interception in this game, gets by far the lowest graded coverage score. Now, he did give up the touchdown, but I'm struggling with this one, guys. I don't know how you give Ernest Jones a 40 in coverage on 28 yards and an interception and a touchdown on 5 targets. That sounds to me like something I'm pretty happy to live with, but Pro Football Focus would have you believe differently. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. I know the penalties are a problem. I know he had multiple penalties, but having a hard time justifying that, I think. Special teams, there's actually some highlight guys here. Brady Russell was great. Surratt was awesome. Morris, D'Anthony Bell, those were your studs. And I mean, that's how those guys can really do a lot of work to justify their role on the team. The one guy who stood out negatively was Halani. Actually, not sure why. I think he missed 1 tackle. It looks like they gave him 1. And Jarek Reed as well. Gray Zabel was also low. But again, not really a ton here. Just like to look at it for completionist sake every week. And that's it for Pro Football Focus. So I'll see you guys later. More videos coming soon. Go Hawks. And yeah, interesting week coming. See you guys later.